All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at body language.
Ooh, fun.
Super fascinating topic. I think we all kind of have a sense of it.
Yeah, we use it every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're going to be going a little bit deeper today. We're going to be taking a look at the power of body language. What you're really saying without words.
I love that title.
Yeah, it's a good
It
word.
really gets to the point.
So much of how we communicate with each other
Uh-huh.
isn't actually the words themselves, but all this other stuff.
I mean, think about it. Like, if somebody's saying one thing, but their body language is saying something totally different,
Right.
you're going to believe their body.
Every time.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to be like, oh, they said they were happy, but they're frowning. I believe them.
Exactly. You're going to go with the nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be exploring today, just all the different ways that our bodies are communicating,
Yeah.
even when we don't realize it.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with just like the basics? Like, what are the building blocks of body language?
Okay, so think of body language kind of like a toolbox, okay? And we've got all these different tools that we can use.
I like that.
So you've got like facial expressions.
Right.
You've got from like the really subtle micro expressions that maybe most people don't even notice
Uh-huh.
to like the big ones, right? The smiles, the frowns, all of that. Then you've got posture, which is how you're holding your body.
Yeah.
Like, are you standing up straight? Or your shoulders slumped over? That kind of thing.
Right, which can totally change how you're perceived.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it projects confidence or insecurity, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then you've got eye contact.
Oh, yeah.
Super important. Are you making eye contact? Are you avoiding eye contact?
Right.
And then you've got gestures,
Yeah.
all the hand movements.
Like this,
Yeah, exactly. All of that.
which I feel like there's so much cultural variation in.
So much.
Yeah.
I mean, even something as simple as like a thumbs up,
Means one thing here in the U.S., but in other cultures, it could be really offensive.
I've definitely heard that.
Yeah. So it's super important to be aware of those kind of cultural differences.
Especially when you're traveling, right?
Oh, for sure.
You don't want to accidentally offend someone.
No, you don't want to be like in a business meeting and give somebody a thumbs up and they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That-
So it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about first impressions. Like when you meet somebody for the first time,
Hmm.
how much of that is based on body language?
So much of it, it's crazy. Like, research shows that we make judgments about people in like a fraction of a second
Oh.
based almost entirely on their body language.
So, like, what are some of the things that people are picking up on in those first few seconds?
I mean, obviously, like facial expressions, that's a big one.
Right.
Like if somebody's smiling, you're probably going to think they're more approachable
Uh-huh.
than if they're frowning. Posture is another big one. Like if somebody's standing up straight, shoulders back, you're going to think they're more confident.
Okay.
Even like the way somebody walks can convey a lot about their personality.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, are they walking with purpose or are they kind of shuffling along?
Okay, so it's everything.
It's really everything, yeah.
So how do we get better at reading other people's body language?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting because it's not just about like memorizing a list of what each gesture means.
Right.
It's more about paying attention to the whole picture.
The context.
Exactly, the context and like clusters of cues.
Okay.
So for example, like let's say somebody has their arms crossed.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people would say that means they're closed off or defensive,
Right.
but maybe they're also smiling and making eye contact. So in that case, it might just mean they're comfortable.
Okay.
Or like maybe they're just cold,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about looking at all the different signals.
That's putting them together.
Yeah, and using your intuition.
Okay, so how about like a real world example?
Yeah.
Like let's say you're in a meeting
Okay.
and somebody's nodding along while the speaker is talking,
Uh-huh.
but their arms are crossed and they keep glancing at their phone.
Interesting.
What's your read on that situation?
Okay, so on the surface, they look like they're engaged, right? They're nodding, they're making eye contact.
Right.
But those crossed arms and the phone checking that tells me something else is going on. Like
Yeah.
maybe they're bored, maybe they disagree with what's being said, maybe they're just anxious about something else entirely, and they're not really present in the meeting.
So how do you figure out which one it is?
I think that's where the intuition comes in. And also like paying attention to their other cues, like what's their facial expression like? Are they sighing? Are they fidgeting? All those little things can give you clues.
So it's like being a detective.
It totally is. Yeah, it's like putting together a puzzle.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about reading other people's body language, but what about our own body language? How can we use that to our advantage?
Okay, so one of the simplest but most effective things you can do is just stand up straight.
Okay.
Good posture, shoulders back, head up. Not only does it make you look more confident,
Uh,
but it actually makes you feel more confident.
really?
Yeah, it's crazy how much our body language can affect our mental state.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah. And then eye contact is another big one. You want to make sure you're making eye contact with people when you're talking to them,
Right.
but not too much eye contact. You don't want to stare them down.
Right.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Okay. What about mirroring?
Ah, mirroring. That's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Okay, tell me about it.
So mirroring is when you subtly copy the body language of the person you're talking to.
Okay.
And it's something we do unconsciously all the time. But when you do it consciously, it can really help you build rapport with people.
So, like, if they cross their legs, I should cross my legs.
Yeah, exactly. Or if they lean forward, you lean forward. It creates this sense of connection and understanding.
It's like you're on the same wavelength.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And it can really make people feel more comfortable around you.
That's so cool.
It is cool, right?
It's-
Our brains are amazing.
Okay, so to kind of wrap things up here, I'm just curious, what's like one thing you want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
I would say just be more aware
Okay.
of both your own body language and the body language of the people around you, you know? Pay attention to those nonverbal cues and see what you can learn.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a whole secret language that we're all speaking.
It really is. And once you start to understand it,
Uh-huh.
it can really change the way you interact with the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights with us today.
My pleasure.
This has been super fascinating. And for all of you listening out there, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep making more content just like this. And if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover in future episodes, be sure to leave those in the comments down below.
Yeah, we love hearing from you guys.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.